visionary, revolutionary. I'm a visionary, revolutionary.
What's going on, everyone? It's Camilio Salamander, and I'm here with KB the fucking Mark.
Cause I'm a fucking mark for this shit.
And today we got some breaking fucking news. We got hella stories to bring to you guys. We got AEW news, we got WWE news, and we got some Impact Wrestling news. Yes, Impact Wrestling news. So, without further ado, KB, let's jump into the news.
Starting off with our first story is coming from WrestlingNews.co. Thunder Rosa denies injury report. AEW Revolution match is still on. On Wednesday's episode of AEW Dynamite, Thunder Rosa teamed with Mercedes Martinez to face off against AEW Women's Champion Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter in tag team action. Rosa got the win for her team by pinning Baker. This marked Baker's first pinfall loss since her lights out match with Rosa in May of 2021 on the St. Patrick's Day Slam edition of Dynamite. Dave Meltzer reported in the last edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Rosa was legitimately injured in the match. The nature of her injury wasn't disclosed, although she is still expected to challenge Baker for the women's title at this Sunday's Revolution pay-per-view event. It should be noted that her leg was taped up during the match. Sean Ross Sapp with Fightful noted that Rosa has denied she's injured. AEW sources were adamant that she not sustained any injury during the match. So, Salamander, we got a lot of stories. We're going to breeze through the news, or at least my portion of the news, relatively quickly. But what do you think of this? Do you think Rosa's injured, or what are you thinking?
Yes, I do think she's injured. I think it's going to be one of the ones how Bobby Lashley was. Like, it's an injury that she got, but she can work through it. I'm going to go with your theory that you said yesterday. I actually think she might end up losing this Sunday, and then she probably take some time off until get close to Double or Nothing, and then she'll come back, and then that's when she'll actually take the belt. But she probably just gonna work through the injury just to get by this pay-per-view, and then go ahead and get that rest that she needs to heal her injury, and then come back at Double or Nothing. She just don't want to spoil it right now, but if she announced that she's injured, then we basically know that she's not gonna pick up the win this Sunday. So,
no, I definitely agree. With everything you said.
Just like with Bobby Lashley, we didn't know. I was pointing out like the way he was taking those suplexes. I was like, he need to stop because it seemed like he was trying to get out of them at the same time. But it's like he needed to stop because he was turning and he landed on the shoulders wrong. I'm like, he gonna injure himself. And come to find out, I mean, he did. So if you guys don't believe me, go back to week 4. What I actually said was our week 4 review. I actually said that you know the way he was taking him looked like he actually hurt himself, and if he didn't already, and then they come to find out on Elimination Chamber when they worked that angle, he was actually injured. So it's probably the same situation. She looked like she got an injury, but she denying it and everything. Then after Revolution, they're probably gonna play her leg probably gonna play a story into that match where she would, Thunder Rosa, but the doctor, along with her accomplice, they will come out and do something, work a story with that leg that's gonna write her off TV to heal up in time for Double or Nothing.
Like it, I definitely agree. I definitely don't want to see Thunder Rosa take this belt off for Britt Baker and go into her championship run injured. Yeah. I want you to be 100%.
She deserves it. She deserves it. Most definitely.
She does deserve it. Moving on, our next story, is coming from Wrestling Inc. Chris Jericho can see huge AEW crossover show happening. In an appearance on Fight and Focus, AEW star Chris Jericho talked about AEW being on the road against after spending most of 2020 and part of 2021 in Jacksonville, Florida due to the pandemic. Jericho pointed out all the possibilities that have now opened up for AEW in regards to doing shows in the UK, Japan, Canada, and cities they haven't run in yet in the United States. Jericho said this: as soon as the UK opens, that's going to be huge for us. As soon as Japan opens up a little bit more, I can see a huge New Japan versus AEW Super Show. And like I said, Canada is a complete no-brainer, because I think there are probably 6 or 7 cities there that could do huge business. We could do huge business in, because I believe on TSN, the Canadian Sports Network, our ratings are the highest wrestling ratings out of any company, AEW Dynamite. So the people are ready for us to go there as well. What do you think of this? And would you like to see an AEW versus New Japan Super Show?
It sounds promising though. I mean, haven't we already kind of seen one though?
I was thinking the same thing.
Hey, some New Japan stars come over to AEW work, and then vice versa. So ain't nothing new that we ain't seen. It just be an actual event built around it. But ain't nothing we ain't seen yet. But so far that what we have got, I ain't never been disappointed about. So hell yeah, I would love to see that.
I only want to see that.
We get the Golden Lovers back.
I only want to see that. I only want to see that show if I'm getting Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega in the main event. If I'm not getting that, then I really don't care for this. Because like you said, we, New Japan's come over and we've seen, I won't say we've seen most of it, because there's a lot we probably haven't seen, but how much of that is going to captivate the North American audience? That's my question, if you decide to do that. Like that, of course, that's gonna hit the mega fans. That's gonna hit the hardcore fans. But I think now, being in year 3, we got to start looking at casuals.
What they gotta do is, they gotta have some of the New Japan people come over to AEW ahead, like months in advance before the big scheduled event is planned. That way, you already get us familiar with these people, so that way when we see the match, we know who they are. The big mega wrestling fans, yeah, we already understand who they are, so we already cool and excited about it. But the people who don't watch overseas wrestling, that's how you get them familiar with it.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. And I can even go back as far as Minoru Suzuki. The mega fans.
Great, but it should have got a bigger pop if you knew who he was. You feel me?
Exactly.
Us, we know. We was excited for that match. We said that was like goddamn the match of the night for real. But to the typical fan, they're like, who is this middle-aged, Asian guy? Japanese, excuse me. But not knowing that he's actually a legend.
Right. If you don't watch New Japan, like you said, the casual fan is gonna watch who is this? Why should I be excited about this? Because I was trying to put myself in the casual shoes watching Minoru Suzuki. If you're not a person who likes strikes and hard hitting, you kind of looking at Minoru Suzuki like, why are you on my television?
Yeah, because that was a real technical match, not really technical, but more striking. But that was a hard hitting match, and if you didn't appreciate that, you're not a fucking wrestling fan at all. That's all I gotta say.
Definitely agree.
We would have got that in WWE. The crowd would have been like, "This is boring." Clap, 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 clap. This is boring. That's what they would have did. Like, I agree with you 100% about this. Mostly WWE fans, they say we want technical matches, but when we get those technical matches, they also say those same matches is boring. But that same match in AEW, it's the fucking match of the year.
It's crazy how that works, because Bryan Danielson has been out here wrestling. Lee Moriarty, it was good. Daniel Garcia, it was good. He had a match with Christopher Daniels on Wednesday's Dynamite. That was good. Like, Danielson's a professional wrestler. He wants to wrestle technically, and like you said, some people find that match boring.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why, if you don't really want to see the foundation of professional wrestling. I mean, because what they're giving you is the foundation, and I get it, bro. There's nothing wrong with wanting to see super kicks and flips, but at the end of the day, you gotta know how to wrestle.
Man, that's the important part.
Yeah,
that's the important part. And like I said, like if you are an indies wrestler, yes, wrestling, that's the only thing you need to know how to do. Do that and work the crowd, basically. But if you wrestle on TV, you need to learn how to wrestle. That's the important piece. But also working the crowd, working the TV, working the cameras. You need to know where your camera spots is at. You need to know where your cameras is at. All that shit, right? And then on top of that, well, this is important too. Also knowing how to wrestle, but within wrestling, you need to learn how to run the ropes. You can't properly run the ropes and work the ropes. Like working the ropes is important in tag team wrestling. In that tag team match, you need to cut the ring in half. I hate when I see tag team matches and they be on the side where they close enough to really tag in. Right? You need to work the ropes, cut the ring in half. You need to keep him on your side. You feel me? To prevent that tagging spot, working the ropes. That's why I appreciate FTR. That's why I appreciate these teams that still pay homage to the old school wrestling and stuff, because this still plays. Even though it's modern wrestling, you still have to take the old school aspect to it and just modernize it. That's just monitor it. That's it. But I mean, that's why I really appreciate, like, you know, fucking Bryan Danielson, FTR. They showed that important piece of wrestling is still intact with them.
Don't forget Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, Cody. I'll give it to Cody. Yeah.
You took the team right out of my mouth. And it's funny because I love the revival in NXT. Hated them on the main roster. They come to AEW. I fucking love FTR. Just that old school approach to tag team wrestling. And if you think about it, in a world of flips and kicks, they're one of the best, if not the best, tag team in AEW. And they can do the flashy shit. They just choose not to. I saw somebody on Twitter saying they hate the FTR thing. And I was like, how can you hate FTR's thing? It's 80s, it's an 80s thing. It just fits them so well.
If I think, honestly, that Dax and Cash, they was honestly born in the wrong generation. I would say that. And I will only say that because they wrestled back in like the 70s, 80s, mid 70s, 80s. They would be multi-time. They would probably hold the tag belts for like over pushing 1,000 days. Cause you know, back in them days, them title reigns was long as fuck. So I would say I'll say they're like about 500-day title reign for the tag team belts.
I'm gonna do you one.
It's not gonna be like that now, but I think that was honestly the reason why they don't get over with some people. Some people don't understand them. They understand wrestling too much, basically. But I just think they wrestling style, they just was born in the wrong generation.
I do you one better. If they wrestled in the 70s and the 80s, they would be the greatest tag team
ever
of all time.
Yeah,
it wouldn't even be a discussion. It wouldn't be a discussion on who the GOAT tag team was if FTR wrestled in the 80s. The late 70s into the 80s. It wouldn't be a question.
Man.
You would want to go back and watch their matches. I mean, FTR versus the Horsemen, take my money. Midnight Express, take my money. Take
powers.
Take my money. Take it.
Speaking of the GOAT of wrestling, y'all guys, if y'all listen to us on y'all podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, I want y'all to stay in tune. Be on the lookout, because me and KB, we are going to discuss who is honestly the GOAT of wrestling, of professional wrestling. If you have to put that title on one person, who would it be? So y'all listen to this. I want y'all to go ahead and comment below who would y'all put that GOAT title under. Go ahead and finish, KB.
You know who is a GOAT in wrestling?
Who?
J.R. Jim fucking Ross.
Yes.
GOAT announcer. That is my next story. Coming from Wrestling Inc., Jim Ross names aspect of AEW Revolution he does not like. On the latest episode of Grilling JR podcast, AEW commentator Jim Ross spoke about his excitement for this weekend's AEW Revolution pay-per-view. The WWE Hall of Famer mentioned which matches he's looking forward to the most and why the main event involving Adam Cole and Adam Page never would have happened back in the day. He says this: "It's easy to get caught up in our own bullshit when you're talking about something you're trying to sell. I am genuinely excited about this Sunday on pay-per-view. The talent are going to be lobbying with Tony Khan for more time. Each and every one of them are going to need more time and they'll have a chance to steal the show. Great workers. That's one thing about this roster that's pretty damn good. But you don't know exactly what to expect from a Jericho Eddie match. Those are the two kinds of guys who will step in through the back and take the show." Absolutely agree. He says, then you got the title match with the two Adams, which I don't like. I don't like the same name, first name of guys against each other, but that's just me. That's an old school deal. You will rarely see that back in the old days. It's like having two guys wearing black tights. Won't ever happen in the old school territories. You had to have contrast. Man, you look at this card, Conrad, and we can all say, I like this match. I like this one. There's like 5 matches that are main event level matches that we're going to see on Sunday night. I'm so excited about it. 2 things. 2 things. What did you think about everything that JR said? And 2, is his WWE-ness starting to come out here in this interview? This is very Vince McMahon not liking Adam and Adam.
I mean, he's old school. He's just old school. But I mean, wrestling is involved. But I can agree with certain things. But I mean, the Adam and Adam thing that is kind of goofy. But I mean, that's like saying a babyface and a babyface can't be in a rivalry. Like, somebody can play the heel in the rivalry, but still be a babyface. As much wrestling involved, I believe like anything's possible.
I mean, arguably, I think he's making a big deal about this. I mean, it's cowboy shit. Hangman Adam Page. Just say Hangman.
Yeah, exactly. They call it a day.
Yeah.
Hangman and Adam Cole.
Exactly.
Or Hangman Baby.
There you go, or that too. Yeah, I mean, I get it though. It just, to me, it sounded very WWE like Vince. Oh, we can't have Michael Cole and Adam Cole on the same show. We gotta change Adam Cole's name. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what it sounds like. It probably explains why they never had Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley on the same show.
Yeah, get them confused.
Yeah. 2 guys, one's white, one's black. They do the same shit. Yeah, they do the same shit, basically.
I mean, it's the obvious. You could tell them apart, obviously.
Not in Vince's eyes. 2 big guys who can work. I'm gonna put Paul Heyman with you, and I'm gonna put MVP with you, so I can always tell the difference.
And even that, you can tell the difference.
Hey,
2 is black, 2 is white.
I think they're both snakes.
What
Everybody's.
What if Rob Bobby out? What if MVP became Brock Lesnar advocate?
I like that, Loki.
And then that way you can still push that rivalry. I mean that next match between the two. Just tell that story. Well, it's the same story, but it's just different. Because this time we ain't never seen Brock Lesnar with anybody else other than Paul Heyman.
Does MVP screw him when Bobby Lashley comes back?
I don't know, because I think WWE will do a way they will find a way to put Paul Heyman back in that story just to get Roman involved again. And then it's the 2 advocates fighting for who they're gonna represent.
Now that's funny. That's actually
some
good.
WWE shit. I told you.
Hey, I don't know why. I low key like that. Though. I low key like that. Moving on. Next story is from WrestlingNews.co. AEW Dark spoilers. Former WWE NXT star debuts Ring of Honor champion in action. AEW taped up another round of Dark episodes on Thursday at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. So notable names were in action, such as the Young Bucks, Ricky Starks, and more. Also, Ring of Honor Pure Champion Josh Woods and Blake Christian, formerly known as WWE NXT star Trey Baxter, made their debut. And as I mentioned before, Ring of Honor Pure Champion Josh Woods defeated AC Adams. Salamander, I'm not going to stick on this story too long, but I want to point something out to you. You are part of the toxic internet wrestling community who complains about, oh, they always sticking to people who should be on Dynamite on Dark because his roster's too big. You don't see the Bucks working Dark.
This their first Dark.
No, it's not. They were working Dark way back in the day.
They worked Dark when Dark first developed. That way they can get people to tune in. And when they got the people to tune in, they went on and stayed on Dynamite.
Danielson worked the Dark. Danielson worked the Dark.
And it was just to get people to come in. Yes. What other way to get to promote Dark and get in other than bring your big star on there just for one episode? That's fine.
Cole worked Dark. Why does that matter?
Just it's to promote it. Just like AEW Revelation. What is it? Revolution. On AEW Revolution, we're gonna have Adam Cole versus this dude. I don't know. He was only on TV twice, and people gonna tune in because of Adam Cole. We're gonna have Kenny Omega tune in on AEW Dark versus the person who been on Dark 5 weeks in a row. Yeah, people gonna tune in because of that big person. Yeah, one. That's probably in that contract. You gotta work a Dark at least one time in your career.
First off, Omega and the Bucks have worked multiple Darks
to get it off the feet. That's it. They coming back this time because now they gotta promote all that shit. But I was saying they need to stop signing all this WWE talent because their roster's so big. Tony Khan said, "Fuck what you talk about, Salamander," and found a solution. He bought Ring of Honor, so now he really got the space. So, hey, I'll take a step back though. But go ahead and do you, shawty.
Hey, Ring of Honor champion Josh Woods was on the show. I'm very excited for Ring of Honor. I don't know if you heard, it might be on TNT or one of the Turner stations.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, he took Ring of Honor. He about to give Ring of Honor the biggest publicity they ever had. Like, before then, Ring of Honor, you only know about Ring of Honor if you a diehard wrestling fan. And then before then, Ring of Honor will only gain that publicity because of the people who they produce. The CM Punk, the Bryan Danielsons, the Samoa Joes, the shit like that, right? Now, they get more publicity just the simple fact that that was bought out by Tony Khan and they are under the AEW umbrella. What if they don't even do Ring of Honor like a second brand? What if Ring of Honor is still gonna be Ring of Honor? They just fall under the AEW umbrella, like they go by AEW rules, but it's still Ring of Honor. So, but you can see people on Ring of Honor, jump ship to AEW and all that shit. Like somebody might now your contract is where it is where it is. But now if you sign a contract with AEW, you could also sign a contract where you could be working on Ring of Honor as well and shit like that. But some shit like that, like now, like they got Kenny King, they got EC3 and all that. That's one of the people who signed with Ring of Honor. Like now that they got Brody King, he's one of those exclusive people that can work both shows. And just because through him, he could bring the House of Black with him. Just because he's contracted through Ring of Honor. So, just to get some shit like that, then that way you can have them run shit in the tag division there if you don't want to take the belt off of Jurassic Express right now. You feel me? Do some shit like that. That way, you want somebody to get a big push, but you ain't trying to get, take the belt off Hangman right now, have Adam Cole go to Ring of Honor, take the Ring of Honor belt. Shit like that. That way you got more shit to work with. You also got the TNT title. Then you also got the Ring of Honor mid card title. Don't Ring of Honor got a women's title?
Yes, and it is being held by Impact's Deonna Purrazzo.
That's 3 fucking titles you can do. That's 3 titles, 3 women titles, 3 women to build up. And then just because of that, they bought Ring of Honor. That means they bought their motherfucking contract with Impact. So that means they probably still working with Impact secretly. So who says WWE, I mean, they still working with them in some type of way. So who says, somebody who's associated with AEW but not with AEW might not make an appearance and they break the third wall like that, or just some simple shit. You don't know. But on the bright side, it'll be 3 women titles, and that means more women wrestling, more build up, more building stars. You want Mercedes Martinez to hold the belt, but you don't want her to hold the TBS title or the AEW title? Ring of Honor title. Boom. See? All this shit is solved. You got, 2 mid-card titles, 2 main titles, 3 women titles, 2 tag titles? Hey, it's that easy. And I say this is a smart move by Tony Khan. I just really say it just depends on what they do after this. What they do with Ring of Honor, that really depends on what move this really make.
Nah, I agree. A lot of people was talking about Tony Khan bought a dead promotion and a whole bunch of other shit. I don't see these motherfuckers complaining back when Vince was buying up all the territories.
Mm-hmm.
So now that Tony Khan wants to be smart and invest his money and start to build the AEW umbrella, now everybody want to give him shit for it.
I heard they were trying to buy Ring of Honor too.
I heard that too. You know what WWE was gonna do? Kill it. One less thing for Tony Khan. But it's good. Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor is great for the world of professional wrestling. What if
that shows you what, like, the person who sold Ring of Honor, that shows you that he decided, if WWE was trying to buy it too, that shows you that he was more comfortable with Tony Khan leaving his legacy in his hands than Vince. If the reports is true about Vince trying to buy it.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else you want to add to this?
Nah, that's it.
All right. Moving on. Next story from Wrestling Inc. AEW Dynamite viewership and key demo rating down from last week going into Revolution. Wednesday's live Revolution Go Home edition of AEW Dynamite drew 966,000 viewers on TBS, according to Nielsen via Showbuzz Daily. This is down 4.35% from last week's episode, which drew a 1.010 million viewers. This week's Dynamite drew a 0.35 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. This is down 12.5% from last week's 0.40 rating. This week's 0.35 key demographic rating represents 460,000 viewers who watched the show from that 1849 demo. This is down 11.2% from last week's 517,000 18 to 49 viewers that the 0.40 key demo rating represented, according to WrestleNomics. Dynamite ranked number 8 on cable top 150 this week with a 0.35 rating and an 18 to 49 key demo. This is down from last week's number 3 ranking. Dynamite ranked number 62 in viewership for the night on cable this week. This is down from last week's number 41 ranking. Wednesday's Dynamite drew the 3rd lowest audience of the year. The show tied with the February 2nd episode for the lowest key demo rating of the year. Wednesday's Dynamite viewership was down 4.35 from last week, while the 18 to 49 key demo was down 12.5%. This week's Dynamite, though, was up 0.343% from last year. The key demo was up 6.06% from the previous year as well. The 2021 episode went head-to-head with NXT. And the game on ESPN between the Knicks and the 76ers topped the night in the 18 of 49 with a 0.47 drawing a 1.44. What do you have to say about all of that information? Are you kind of worried? Are you kind of flustered? I'm just used to Dynamite ratings going up and down.
Nah, I think because for a while that was still up there in that 1 million. I think they just gonna go back up, just like like I said on the last episode. World events had happened, which really took away from all of televisions. Not only wrestling has been affected, but all television programming been affected because more people is tuning into the news, and when the president having announcement, people's tuning into that. So that takes away from our normal programming.
I definitely agree. Moving on, next story is coming from WrestlingNews.co. Tony Khan says Chris Jericho is healthy and looks better than he ever has in AEW. Tony Khan joined Tony Schiavone and Aubrey Edwards on the latest AEW Unrestricted podcast to preview the AEW Revolution pay-per-view happening this Sunday night. Khan talked about the current storylines and how stacked the card is. He also gave praise to Chris Jericho and said that Jericho looks better than ever. He also gave praise to Chris Jericho and said that Jericho looks better than ever since he signed with AEW. Jericho was hospitalized in December, reportedly for a non-COVID issue, and has looked leaner since returning to AEW television. Jericho will be taking on Eddie Kingston on Sunday. Tony Khan said this: "I cannot wait for this match. I think we've already talked about what an amazing pay-per-view is going to be what an amazing card is going to be. And I think matches like Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston are why. I mean, for all of the reasons Aubrey just said, I think we could talk and do an entire podcast just on the careers that these two gentlemen, each of them separately, and do multiple really and all of the great matches. As far as their career goes, I mean, they really come from different sides of the track in pro wrestling, and I think that you have to look at Eddie Kingston, who's come through the independent scene and before AEW had never had this kind of national television breakthrough, and all of a sudden is now a worldwide wrestling star for the first time in his career. After all these years as a veteran versus Chris Jericho, who has been wrestling on television, and Tony was calling Chris Jericho matches in the 90s. One of the all-time greats, Tony Schiavone and Chris Jericho, two of the all-time greats, and you know what he's capable of as well as anybody. Tony Khan went on to say a little bit more, just hyping up the match. Just from that little bit, Salamander, what do you think? I know you were telling me you think Chris Jericho's been in amazing shape. What do you think about this Chris Jericho Eddie Kingston match? This is twice within the news where people said this match could steal the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's Chris Jericho. And so far, since he's been gone, I don't think he put up any bullshit ass match at all. Since he's been gone for WWE. And Chris Jericho, you can just tell, like, he's... I'm putting it out there. This is going to steal the whole card. It's going to steal the whole card. Just because Chris Jericho, a few months ago, he had the dad body. And then he bounced back. He got abs and shit now. So shit. I mean, in this rivalry, I've been more into this rivalry than any other Hangman shit. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I mean,
this or the CM Punk match comes to the show.
I mean, it just remember when Samoa Joe said Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy were going to steal the show.
And we didn't believe it.
And nobody believed it until they went out there and stole the show. Mm-hmm. And they stole the show so much, WWE decided to run it into the ground. We might see Jericho versus Eddie Kingston once, and they'll never touch again. But you'll remember this match. You will remember this match. I cannot wait for Sunday. I hope they open with this match. This is the match. I was thinking about it because we talked yesterday about what would we want to open. And I say, if you don't want to open with Jericho and Kingston, then you got to open with the tag team triple threat. If you're not going with a huge storyline match, then you got to throw a title match out there. You got to putting a title match on first, it adds prestige to the title and also the pay-per-view. Eddie Kingston Miro, was that all out? and they were the first match, and they stole the show? Because Miro hit the
I
hit
remember
the
the match,
low
but I
blow.
can't remember where it was at.
I'm pretty sure it was All Out, and they stole the show. So, y'all listen. Y'all who listen to us, we calling it now. Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho will steal the show at AEW Revolution. Moving on, next story is coming from WrestlingInc.com. Jim Ross weighs in on rumors that Jeff Hardy is AEW bound. During the latest episode of Grilling JR podcast, AEW commentator Jim Ross spoke about Tony Khan not following in Vince McMahon's footsteps by getting himself involved in storylines or on-screen angles. He says this: "I don't envision Tony ever doing a wrestling skit. He books things he wants to see, as long as he's still as big of a fan as he is. We made a big deal the other day about having a count out or a DQ to finish a match, and I admire that we stood our ground. Why do we change? Do we really believe that in 2022 that a DQ will salvage the face of the guy losing? It's silly, isn't it?" Jeff Hardy also created a buzz when he was caught on camera saying he's going to AEW during an interview backstage at his concert. Hardy won't be able to sign with AEW until March 9th and shot down his quotes from the interview on social media. Although the interview was seen as a closed-door conversation made public, Ross spoke about why he thinks Jeff is coming to AEW. "I think Jeff Hardy's coming to AEW. I don't want to say it's the worst kept secret to have the Hardys here for their last major tag team run is a booker's dream. I think because the Young Bucks idolized the Hardys forever, to have that opportunity at some point in time is a match that if I was retired, I'd want to come out of retirement to call that one." What do you think about him saying Jeff Hardy's coming? What do you think about that? And I want to go back where they stood their ground on a DQ finish. You think there might have been discussions of a DQ finish at Revolution?
If it is, it was probably gonna either be the doctor match or the main event. But Tony Khan is not Vince McMahon. He gonna give the people some type of ending, some type of closure. He's not. They barely do triple threat matches. You think they're gonna end off a pay-per-view with a DQ? Name how many big pay-per-views have WWE just gave us some bullshit ending, and then we had to wait till next week to even get a resolve. Tony Khan ain't doing that. And it's very obvious that Jeff Hardy coming to AEW. I knew that once when they released him. I knew that. His brother's in AEW. I knew he was gonna follow him, and they was gonna do they one more. We talked about this earlier, like last year sometime. That it's that Jeff Hardy was gonna come and join Matt, or Matt was gonna join Jeff, but before they both decided to retire, because it looked like this is their final run, they was gonna team up as the Hardy Boys one last time.
Yeah, we did talk about this a long time ago. Like you, I do agree that if they were discussing a DQ finish, it can only happen on the doctor match or I would say the Chris Jericho Eddie Kingston match as well, if you wanted to do the turn. Next story is coming from WrestlingNews.co. Tickets for AEW Dynamite general admission go on sale today at 1 p.m. This is for their next pay-per-view going on Sunday, May 29th, Double or Nothing. They will be in Las Vegas. What do you think Double or Nothing is going to be a sellout, and what would the main event be if you were booking it?
They sell out all of their pay-per-views. For real. That's what it seemed like. But it seemed like they sell out because the tickets gonna sell like almost 3 months ahead of time. So you got time to, buy tickets instead of announcing it like the month before when tickets is available and stuff. But Thunder Rosa and the Doctor. Doctor's a regular main event, one pay-per-view. If not the Doctor, then Jade.
So is it a gimmick match or is it just a one-on-one match for the title?
One-on-one match for the title.
Her and Thunder
Something's gonna
Rosa.
happen this Sunday that's gonna postpone the title switch over. Whether if Kaylee Ray and all of them get involved.
Oh wait, you who? Jamie. You mean Jamie Hayter?
Yeah. If they get involved and all that, then that's gonna postpone the title switch until Double or Nothing.
Okay, I can get with that. Next story, WrestlingNews.co. Powerhouse Hobbs shares what he thinks was his AEW breakout moment, talks wrestling, CM Punk, and more. He was on The Insight with Chris Van Fleet. And I was just reading over the interview, and I liked what he was saying. I got 2 questions and 2 answers from Powerhouse Hobbs. So the first one was, what originally got him on AEW's radar? He says this: I know a phone call got called in, and next thing I know, I got a text from QT Marshall. I looked at it and I'm like, this is bullshit. But I sat on it for a little bit and I responded. It was one of those things where I'm like, do I risk flying to Jacksonville and possibly getting COVID, or do I say thank you when things open back up? But I'm like, I'm a fool if I say no to this. I remember QT asking me if I was local to Jacksonville. I said no, but I will find a way to get there. When I got there, I was amazed at Daly's place. Everyone was friendly to me. I looked on the board and I got a match with Orange Cassidy. I'm like, cool. I've been following the program and he has had a feud with Chris Jericho. Then 12.36 seconds later, I lost to Orange Cassidy, but I couldn't care less if I won or lost. My main thing was, how can I help this show out? I knew the pay-per-view was coming up with him and Jericho, and I knew it was going on the highlight reel because of my size and his size, and it was. I remember that, but I'm going to do the second one, and then I'll ask you just a question real quick. He was then asked, what was the breakout one? He says, I think it was the Battle Royal and that match on Saturday Night Dynamite with Darby Allin before the pay-per-view. I think local people in California knew who I was, but Florida, like people who have seen AEW Dark, know who Will Hobbs was. The Battle Royale was crazy because it was the anniversary of my brother's death. I was in this Battle Royale and one of the last 6 when I had this moment with Matt Sydal and that spine buster, and I had that moment with Archer. I'm like, I should be here. It all took off after that. I remember early Will Hobbs when he first showed up on AEW television. So from what you've seen of Will Hobbs, do you like the fact that he took that chance? And do you think if he would have said when things clear up, do you think he would have made it back to AEW?
Yeah. I actually just started knowing about who Powerhouse Hobbs was when he got into like that little match that he had with CM Punk. That's why I first heard about him and everything. But I mean, so far from what I've seen from him, he ain't that bad. So I don't see why AEW wouldn't want him.
I remember before he turned on Darby, I remember looking and I'm like, Will Hobbs with Darby Allin, I don't know if I like that. But then I kept thinking in the back of my mind, he's such a Team Taz guy. I can see him with Taz. And then he betrayed Darby and hit him with the chair, and I'm like, yes, this guy is going to be a star. Last story from the AEW side, coming from WrestlingNews.co. Eric Bischoff says AEW has to grow their business. They haven't thus far. On this week's episode of 83 Weeks on AdFreeShows.com, Eric Bischoff gave his thoughts on AEW's business model. Bischoff feels AEW needs a larger-than-life star to grow the audience. He says this: AEW has to grow their business. They haven't thus far. Now they're inching up. Since NXT is no longer head-to-head. Dynamite, they're probably 10% or 12%. Some are estimating ahead of where they were this time last year. But they're still having a hard time consistently breaking 1 million viewers. It's up and down with the super loaded roster. At some point, they're going to need a world champion or two, a men's champion and a women's champion. They're going to need somebody that's a legitimate larger than life star, not just physically, but larger than life to a broader audience. Or they're going to have to accept the fact that AEW is basically 1 million viewers a week tops. I don't think that's what they want to do. Maybe they're happy with that. Maybe more importantly, maybe TBS is happy with that. And if they are, it doesn't really matter so much. But if they're not, and they want to grow, and they want to be doing the 1.5 million, or they want to push Monday Night Raw in the terms of rating and get into that 1.6, 1.7 million category, they got a long way to go, and they're going to need to focus on some larger than life type characters that are going to attract more than just the hardcore fan base that they currently have. It just goes back to our very first, or I don't know if it was the very first story, but it just goes back to, what we were talking about when you have to be able to reach that broader audience. The hardcore fans are only going to be able to do so much. What did you think about what Eric Bischoff said here? Do you agree with it? Because I agree 110%. And I'm typically not a guy who wants to sit there and listen to what Eric Bischoff has to say, but he hit this right on the money.
Isn't Eric Bischoff still employed with WWE?
I don't know. I think he just...
I swear he is. If so, that makes sense why he said that. Okay. I swore I thought he was. I thought he was still with them, but nah. He was actually supposed to be... They announced that he was going to be the executive director of SmackDown. But he ended up getting replaced on October 15th by Bruce Pritchard, and after that he left the company.
So do you agree with what he said on the business model, and what do you think they need to do?
I actually think they fine. I think AEW is fine, for real. I think they're doing what they feel like is best for them. They're not trying to be like everybody else either. I mean, Eric Bischoff, you've been a part of two failing companies. WCW, and during the time when TNA was failing. So, you the last person trying to give advice. But I feel like they fine. AEW is doing AEW. We not you being the AEW mark, are you upset with the moves they're making?
No, but I am just a little bit concerned about the fluctuating ratings. I feel like once you hit 1 million,
you shouldn't dip down.
You shouldn't dip down, and if you are dipping down, it can be no less than 20,000.
But I think the only reason why they dip it down is because of the real world events right now. Because before then, that was hitting 1 million for a couple weeks and not dropping.
I mean, I get concerned when I hear 800,000.
Nah, it did 9 though.
No, it did 9. But wasn't it one, I want to say like 2 weeks ago, where it did like 800,000? It did somewhere in the 800,000 range. And I'm like, that's a bad look.
I think you think of Rampage.
No, Rampage wish it could bring in 800,000 people.
Nah, I don't think that was them.
It was definitely Dynamite. It did like 800,000, I want to say 2 weeks ago.
I was trying to give y'all the benefit of the doubt, but you going against us. Yep, they struggling, guys.
You heard it here. I am concerned with the fluctuating viewership of AEW Dynamite.
They struggling.
Eric Bischoff hit it right on the head. Who's going to be the guy or the gal, the man or the woman, who's going to get them to the 1 point? I don't even want to say the 1.5s to the 1.2s.
I got the answer for you. Jade Cargill have her main event for a month on Dynamite. She gonna bring the people in. I'm telling you, she's the answer. I'm telling you, you got a question, she's the answer.
As great and as marvelous as Jade.
Nothing. Nope. Just leave it like that. She's the answer.
I've
been right.
She's not the answer.
She's
not the answer. She's not the answer.
All right, watch.
Okay.
Next week after Revolution, watch, you gonna be like, Salamander, I think you're right. She is the answer. I'm telling you.
How about this? She's part of the answer. She's not the complete answer.
She's the beginning and the period. She's the answer.
Yeah, no. I'm done with my AEW stories. I don't know what you're talking about anymore.
She's the answer.
She's not the answer.
I've been right this whole time. Just like I think on WWE, Xia Li gonna be the next one. Alright, moving into some WWE news. The first story of the day, we got Vince McMahon. He will induct The Undertaker into the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, during his interview on the Pat McAfee show, Vince McMahon, he announced that he would induct The Undertaker into the WWE Hall of Fame. Vince, he talked about how much Taker means to him, and that's why he's doing the introductions. Now, this will be a very, very, very rare appearance for Vince. He don't like to be mentioned, and he does not like to appear on camera at all during the ceremonies. So that just shows you how much of a fucking icon Undertaker is.
Or does it just show you how selfish Vince McMahon is?
No, Vince.
Sure.
He doing these Hall of Fame speeches. Even though some of these people who've been inducted, he really helped their career to even get to that point. He don't want to take the spotlight off of them. But the simple fact is that he has so much respect for the Undertaker, and the fact that they both jump-started each other's careers. Undertaker could have left during the height of the WCW wars when they was actually losing to WCW, but instead he decided to remain loyal to Vince McMahon. He been there from Vince forever. 30 years. They got 30 years in this. Who else will be worthy enough to induct The Undertaker into the Hall of Fame? Why not? This is something brand new. Vince McMahon inducting somebody, yeah. If Vince McMahon had to induct somebody, it would have to be The Undertaker, I would say.
Of course you think that, because you're a mark. It's Vince McMahon's greatest creation, so why wouldn't he put him in? It just goes to show you how egotistical this man is. It's all about Vinnie Mac. Yeah, I created The Undertaker. The Undertaker's my creation. Yeah, I'm gonna throw in the little breadcrumbs. He didn't go to WCW, so I appreciate him for that, but he was still my creation. Without me, there's no Undertaker, therefore I'm going to induct him. Yeah, sounds very egotistical to me.
I highly disagree. But let's move on to the next story.
Egotistical.
Finn Balor, he weighs in on NXT 2.0. On this week after the Bell episode with Corey Graves, the United States champion Finn Balor talked about the changes that happened to NXT 2.0. Finn Balor, he would say that the changes to NXT 2.0 was needed. Finn Balor would say, I think it was needed. I don't want to say it was getting stale, but having been there for, I think it was about a year and a half in my second run, I feel like all the matches has been taking place, or it was like it was going kind of in a cycle over and over again. And that was something that needed to change. Pretty much as I moved back to SmackDown, at the time NXT 2.0 had came out. It was pretty cool to see completely new people. I was only going out the door for about a month, and then there's people that I never met before, like on TV. It was obviously surprising, maybe for a lot of people in the business that was like, that's stupid. Who are these guys? They haven't paid their dues. But me as a fan, I think, wow, this is cool. There's guys that I never heard of their names before, and they on TV succeeding. So, my question to you, do you agree? Do you think the changes to NXT was needed?
Yes and no. I do agree with Finn Balor. It was getting kind of stale. But the changes away from people with a professional wrestling background, nobody in their late 30s or 30 at all. We want them very young, 19 to 25. You can't have too many older women in there. I don't think all of those changes were needed. But the overall changes, the aesthetics of NXT, yes. I like how NXT 2.0 looks. It looks like a WWE promotion. it looks like it's made for WWE. So in aspects like that, yes, I do agree. I also feel like he's just simping for the company, if I'm being honest.
I wish they would actually acknowledge that NXT is their development league, basically. How, you know, not WWE, but the NBA got the G League, and they know, like, you in the G League, you know, yeah, I'm kind of signed to the WWE in a way. I mean, not WWE, excuse me, I'm tripping. I'm signed to the NBA in a way because I'm associated with their development team, which means I can get a contract with them anytime. So I wish they would actually acknowledge that NXT is their development team, and you signed to WWE in a way, meaning you can get a contract on Raw or SmackDown at any time. But knowing that, yeah, this is the development. These is the stars of the future. That's how you promote it. Stars of the future. NXT 2.0.
Yeah. And in a sense, they kind of do that when it's time for the call up. What I would say is I want these call ups to be done more like in a class. You know, like this group of NXT talent has been down here for 2 years. They developed, we think they're ready. Then you just call them up together. Give them a showcase on either SmackDown or Raw, and let the fans figure out if they want to, you know, if they're going to like these wrestlers. Then from there, you go off and you see what you need to tweak and or change.
Moving on to our next story, we got WWE Hell in a Cell location revealed. Hell in a Cell is set to be held in Chicago, Illinois. As of this recording, tickets are on sale. So, I think they're gonna do some type of fuck you to CM Punk, some type of hit towards him since they ain't his hometown.
Chicago is a great wrestling city.
It is, but it seems since CM Punk came back in the ring, this is WWE's first time in Chicago, I believe.
They
was here before.
Yeah, they've been there before. I want to say they were there before the Christmas break.
But just the fact that he lost in his hometown, you don't think it's gonna be some type of subliminal fuck you? That's gonna be shown?
Nah, not at all. Because Chicago is AEW country, so it don't matter what WWE does there. It'll never be AEW levels. That's a home. Why you think All Out is always there? They love Chicago. CM Punk, I mean, come on now. They sold out the United Center on a whim. A thought. CM Punk wasn't even announced. People, just imagine if it wasn't CM Punk. Imagine if you were one of the 19,000 who bought a ticket and CM Punk didn't show up. They sold out.
It still got a good show without CM Punk. That show was still good.
Yeah, but CM Punk really made it worth it. I mean, I go back and watch that debut.
Yeah, that's like really the only time that we actually everybody predicted something and it was very obvious that something was gonna happen. And they actually went with the obvious. That's why it made that one so much better. Cause it was like, yes, like it was very obvious. It'd be different if they didn't do it. And it's like, that's wrestling when they don't do it. But just the first time. That's the first time that this will probably ever happen in like the next 20 years that something very obvious happened and we actually got it. Like they actually do it to us without saying it.
If they didn't deliver CM Punk, AEW might not be standing.
Nah, I think they would have. They would have waited for that next week or some shit.
To swerve everybody?
Yeah. He still came, he just didn't come to Chicago. He wasn't coming. He wasn't coming in Chicago.
You built up an entire rampage, called it the first dance.
Yeah. And
CM Punk don't show up?
Yeah. Hey, we can't say Rampage ain't do a meal. We said he was gonna show up on Rampage. We didn't say what episode. He showed up next week on Rampage.
525,000 people tuned in to watch CM Punk's return instead of the million.
And then people gonna be like, damn, maybe next week he gonna be on there again. I'm gonna tune in. Then they go up.
No. 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 Nah, I'm good on that.
Moving on to our next story. Vince McMahon, he set up a match for Pat McAfee at WrestleMania. Towards the end of his interview on the Pat McAfee show, Vince McMahon, he made an offer to McAfee for WrestleMania. McAfee, he acknowledged that there has been chatter on the internet about him wrestling at WrestleMania. McAfee asked Vince if he was being serious, and Vince responded, "You know I don't bullshit." Vince did not say that he would be wrestling McAfee at the premium live event, though, but it's still time. My question, if it's not Vince, who should Pat McAfee face?
Austin Theory or Corey Graves?
Why Corey Graves?
Corey Graves said something on Twitter saying he has smacked the shit out of Pat McAfee.
Man,
So,
how long ago was this?
I can't recall. It might have been a couple days ago.
I was recent.
Yeah, it was recent. So if there's smoke, then there's probably a fire somewhere.
And Smoke, he just got medically cleared to come back in the ring, and he want his WrestleMania moment because he never got, but he announced so many WrestleManias. And Pat McAfee is wrestling too, so why not? Pat McAfee looked great when he was in the ring before, and Corey Graves is actually a wrestler. He just so happened to be great on the mic as an announcer. And you got medically cleared. Why not have a match with Pat McAfee?
Let me tell you. Let me ask you this. Carmella and Zelina had their promo on Monday talking about having a sex celebration at WrestleMania, kind of like what Edge and Lita did. What if Carmella helps Corey win and they go into that?
It's not gonna be them. It's gonna be the two girls. We know WWE.
It would be Corey and Carmella.
Cat.
Why?
We know WWE.
They love Corey and Carmella. They got their own little show.
They ain't never acknowledged them as a couple on WBPTV though. So
Corey Graves does it all the time.
No, he just get excited about him. He never said this my girl, my fiance, nothing like that. They never acknowledged them as a couple on TV, on Raw or SmackDown. They acknowledge them as a couple if you watch behind the scenes shit or they TV show, but not
they just did that this Monday.
What he say?
Zelina and Carmella were talking about Corey and Carmella's actual show where they talk about sex. She then said, if you think what we talk about in the show is, if you think all we talk about in the show is sex, wait till you see what we do at WrestleMania. Because of course it's going to be, they accepted the challenge of Sasha Banks and Naomi. They acknowledged Corey and Carmella are an on-screen thing.
Now,
we're going to get that sex scene at WrestleMania.
Do you really want to see it though?
Yes, I do. Because Corey and Carmella in real life are funny.
This ain't 2005. You get canceled for that.
It's Vinnie Mac. It's Vinnie Mac.
It's 2022, guys.
It's Vinnie Mac. He ain't getting canceled.
Moving on to our next story. We got the latest WWE departure have fused questions about Triple H's future into the company. PW Insider is reporting that, I know I'm gonna butcher this name and I'm sorry, Lisette Pendita, who worked as a manager of the global talent strategy and development for WWE, was let go by the company. And the story notes that she was extremely close to Triple H, and she was described as Triple H's top executive assistant. Her departure now sparked more talks about Triple H's future into the company. My question to you, is Triple H done with WWE, or is WWE done with Triple H?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think he is done with WWE, and I think that WWE is done with him. In the Pat McAfee interview, he was talking about naming us a successor and wanting WWE to continue to thrive outside of his family. whether it's with a family member or whether it's somebody from the outside. So you know what that tells me? It's probably not Shane. It's probably not Steph. It's probably not Trips.
What if he give it to Shawn Michaels?
He's gonna give it to Nick Khan.
I don't know.
Why not? Nick Khan has brought in billions of dollars. Give it to Nick Khan. You know the business aspect, the business side of it is going to be good. He'll still have the people there to do what they need to do. Bruce Pritchard, but Kevin Dunn, they'll still be there. It'll still be ran Vince McMahon's way.
Why not give it to Kevin Dunn? He been there since long as Vince, for real.
Because Kevin Dunn probably don't know the business side like Nick Khan. Listen, Nick Khan doesn't have to do anything with the wrestling side. As long as he handles the business side, he's the perfect owner. Because Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn are going to run the wrestling side and they'll report to Nick Khan.
I don't know though. But moving on to our next story, the final WWE Raw before WrestleMania, which is the Go Home Show, will be stacked with stars from SmackDown. The WrestleMania Go Home Show episode of WWE Monday Night Raw will be stacked with the top stars for both brands appearing to give one final push before Mania weekend. According to local advertising and WWE.com, the Universal Champion Roman Reigns and the World Heavyweight Champion Brock Lesnar are scheduled to be on the show. I'm guessing for a confrontation to promote the win and take all unification match or title for title match, whatever match they decide to do, which they probably won't make a official announcement until like the week before or some shit. Typically, the final Raw and SmackDown shows before Mania are all considered all hands on deck shows, and so we expect more talent to be flown. We expect more SmackDown talent to be flown in, even if they don't appear on camera. So I'm guessing on both shows it's gonna be like that. They're gonna be stacked on both shows trying to promote this shit. You know, it's like promoting it as a spontaneous show. So a stupendous.
There you go. There you go.
This is gonna be the most stupendous WrestleMania ever. So the Go Home shows is gonna be crazy. I hope. But in addition to Lesnar and Reigns, the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair, Seth Rollins is also advertised along with Kevin Owens. He's scheduled to be appearing on the show. You know, we guessing that he's gonna wrestle Steve Austin. But as of recording this, WWE has not begun advertising Austin and Owens for Mania. But to me, I think it's obvious because he just started beefing with the whole state of Texas for some, no reason for like the last couple weeks. And who is the biggest Texas wrestler besides The Undertaker, who actually rep Texas every day he step in that ring? Stone Cold. It just makes sense. He do the stunner, and just now he just dissing Texas out of nowhere and stuff. It's just obvious. It's just kind of setting up for that match. They just ain't announced it yet, but that's what's gonna happen. And they might officially set up for it the week to Go Home show for it. That's what they might finally do. He might go out and shit. Is the Go Home show in Texas?
I was just about to ask you, is the Go Home show in Texas?
Oh shit. Let me see.
Hold on. So where they gonna be at? In Dallas?
Pittsburgh.
I thought we was trying to figure out the 21st. I mean, which
no,
one?
The Go Home show. The Go Home show is in Pittsburgh, and then the Raw After Mania is in Dallas.
So you're telling me that March 28th is in Pittsburgh?
Yep, Pittsburgh.
That's fucking stupid.
Unless he's not gonna come in Mania, he's gonna come on Raw After Mania, and that's gonna build into their match at WrestleMania Backlash. And then that's on May 8th, which is like 3 weeks from After Mania, so they could do that. Cause remember we did report a couple weeks ago that the WWE was actually planning on using Stone Cold beyond WrestleMania, or Kevin Owens might have a match at WrestleMania that he might, Stone Cold interfere that way, or a backstage segment happen. Kevin Owens back there, you see Stone Cold come confront him. Raw After Mania, we get the confrontation or whatever. Boom, set up for WrestleMania Backlash. That way you can sell that pay-per-view out because you got Kevin Owens versus a legend, Stone Cold Steve Austin. We ain't seen him compete in like over 10 years, so that's gonna be the headliner for real. So you gonna get Roman his rest after Mania. So he gonna be right. He probably wanted to fight on Backlash. So what else to sell that pay-per-view if you're not gonna use Roman? Cause both titles gonna be combined or whatever. So what else? Kevin Owens and Stone Cold.
You're not about to have a pay-per-view without a world title defense.
It's
They ain't doing that.
WWE. It's WWE.
They not doing
Roman
that.
might appear, but he ain't wrestling. He might be backstage chilling in the thing, and then tell Paul Heyman that he taking a day off, and then he made the announcement. They be boo, and then boom. He'll heal anyway. It don't matter. You think he care?
WWE ain't doing that.
Moving on to our next story, we got Asuka WWE return update, and then WWE has no plans for Bayley. Now, despite the speculation of Bayley potentially making her in-ring return soon, it looks like fans will have to be waiting to see her for several more weeks. PW Insider reports that the current plans for Bayley to return on TV is after WrestleMania. She has been off TV since July, since she had tore her ACL, and she recently appeared on the episode of Up Up Down Down alongside Xavier Woods for the WWE 2K22 Ratings Reveal show. The latest on Asuka, PW Insider report that she is ready to return once WWE has plans for her. There was rumors back in January that she was actually supposed to return during the Royal Rumble, but obviously that didn't happen. Asuka, she's been out for several months with a shoulder injury, and she haven't wrestled since last July at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. At this time, they were still called pay-per-views.
Hold on, bro. You thought you was slick trying to throw that premium live event jab in there.
At this time, they were still pay-per-views. They wasn't called premium live events until they went to Saudi.
No, they were calling them WWE Day One was a premium live event.
Well,
So
I don't remember that. I don't remember them announcing that. I just remember they was just since Saudi. They kept saying it over and over and over.
Yeah, you might want to go back and watch Day One, buddy. Premium live event. But continue.
When do you think Asuka should return?
That's a good
At
question.
this point, she might as well wait till after Mania because both women matches is already booked. What else do you have? The tag titles is kind of booked. I mean, that occupied with Carmella and Queen Zelina and Sasha and Naomi. So, like, yeah, at this point, you might as well wait for her and Bayley to do them after Mania. That way you can set up the next feuds and shit like that. Like, basically, Day One starts off a new year for everybody, but storylines don't start over and get refreshed until after Mania. If that makes sense. WWE got they got 2 Day Ones, basically.
Well, yeah, like they have the calendar Day One, but then like their wrestling year starts after WrestleMania. So, I think they should hold off Asuka till Money in the Bank. Because I think Money in the Bank is right out. Yeah, might as well. It's Asuka. Why not give her a big Money in the Bank win? Then she could, if you could use that, and if there was ever a time where, say, you wanted to take. Yes, and then it'd be like, if there was ever a time where you wanted to take it off Ronda, or if there was ever a time you wanted to take it off whoever the Raw Women's Champion is, you have that in your back pocket. You know, the fans might sour towards Ronda. All right, Asuka, go cash in on Ronda. All right, the Raw Women's Champion, they're not really liking what they've been given. All right, go cash in on the Raw Women's Champion. And Asuka's the perfect person to give it to. So I'll hold her off till Money in the Bank.
Okay. Moving on to the next story, we got WWE. They have no plans, zero plans for Alexa Bliss before WrestleMania. Well, this is going to leave you scratching your heads. PW Insider reported today, even though she recently returned to WBPTV, sources in the company indicate that the next thing for her would not likely happen until after WrestleMania. And I have one fucking question. What was the fucking reason? Why did she even return in the Elimination Chamber? You could have had motherfucking Oscar return, motherfucker Bailey return, had them win, then go on to set up a marquee matchup, Becky Lynch at WrestleMania and stuff. Not saying that Bianca Belair ain't, but still, and all that. Like you could have. But what was the point of bringing her back? Just to keep her off TV and be like, oh shit, now we ain't got nothing to do. That's the only thing we had planned for you. We ain't got nothing to do with you right now. So I guess we can go back to you being back in therapy, I guess. I don't know. I mean, where did she go from here? I mean, she might as well come back a little Miss Bliss, bro. I'm tired of this little shit.
I thought it was weird too that they were in Columbus, Ohio, and didn't use her not one time. Didn't have her come out and cut a promo, didn't do a vignette, nothing.
You said it plenty of times. They don't give a fuck if it's your hometown. You better sit your ass back, be happy you employed. They don't care.
That's exactly what it seemed like too. Because the whole time I'm thinking, we're in Columbus, but no Alexa Bliss. I don't understand how you can be part of a wrestling promotion and not use your wrestlers in their hometown. That's just like a thank you. It's like a thank you to them.
Thank you. You should be thanking us. That's how they say it. That's how WWE see it.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I don't care.
Like, if I ran a wrestling promotion and let's say, I have somebody from New York. If I'm in New York, guess what? I'm going to use them so they can get that hometown pop. Right. But you know what? They might have been thinking, man, last time we was in Columbus with Little Miss Bliss, Lily got torn to pieces.
They don't care. They did that shit though. At the end of the day, you approved that shit. But moving on to our last WWE story. A new match is announced for WWE WrestleMania 38. Damn, can you believe it's been 38 WrestleManias, man? Crazy. WWE has announced a singles match between Happy Corbin and Drew McIntyre for WrestleMania 38. It has also been confirmed that the match will take place on the first night of the show. It was bound that this was going to happen. After this match, leading up to WrestleMania of this match, or during the match, or after the match, we're gonna see the split between Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. I'm putting it out there.
Don't want to see this match. Please just open with it and get it out the way. Because we all know what's gonna happen. Drew McIntyre is gonna get the win. It should be a relatively quick and easy win. Decisive. Baron Corbin should not get any more. This match shouldn't go no more than 10 minutes.
It shouldn't even go 10 minutes. I don't think so.
What, 5?
Yeah, 5 or below. Like the store.
5 or below. You really want to just say 5 minutes? I was saying 10 just because it's the first match of WrestleMania.
It's a kickoff show. It said night 1. They ain't said it wasn't going to be on the kickoff.
There's no point in doing a kickoff.
They're going to do a kickoff. I mean, if the kickoff might be how it was for the Royal Rumble, but they was just talking like the whole hour and shit. So, but if they gonna put a match on for the kickoff, have it be this. Get it out the way.
When is WrestleMania start time? 7.
Yes.
So,
and it's gonna end at 11:45 to midnight. 11:59 it's gonna end.
So 5 hours. So you don't really need matches.
And we might get 10 hours of wrestling this weekend. Over 10 because we also got the NXT event. So we about to get like 15 hours of wrestling this weekend. Well, not that weekend, but the weekend of April. First weekend of April.
I like it.
Hell yeah.
I like it.
Hell yeah. But let's go ahead and get into some Impact Wrestling news. The first story of the day, we got D'Lo Brown. He's not returning to Impact Wrestling commentary. PW Insider reported that Impact officials had decided not to have D'Lo Brown return to the commentary team. Instead, he will continue working for the company behind the scenes. I mean, me and you was talking about this before we started recording. I don't think they need him on the commentary desk. I mean, they got the Tom Hennepin, formerly known as Tom Phillips. and he do great on the commentary desk. So that's all they need for real.
I like D'Lo Brown as the voice of the Impact, though.
Yeah,
D'Lo Brown.
if he's moving to work behind the scenes, most likely he's a producer or booker. So hopefully, he could do some things behind there.
I mean, who are you bringing in to replace him? It can't be a nobody unless Tom Hannafin is going to just take the realms.
No, actually, just give me a second. Actually, Tom Hannafin and Matthew Reinhardt is going to be the new commentary team.
A former Aiden English. Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
So that's good. Moving on to the next story, Josh Alexander Wrestling Impact contract and U.S. work visa has expired. Josh Alexander has announced that his Impact contract expired, which means that his work visa also is up. The former World Heavyweight and X Division champion has previously pulled from Impact Wrestling No Surrenders special this Saturday. The Canadian is unable to work in the United States until his visa is resolved. So that means that he won't be competing in the four-way elimination match at Terminus or any AML wrestling event later this month. So since his contract is up, he is free to be swooped up. He was name dropped on AEW television. Do you think AEW go for him?
I hope AEW takes a swing at him, but I can ultimately see him going back to Impact.
What if the ultimate swerve happened? He signed to WWE.
Then he will be completely watered down, and he'll never be the walking weapon.
You got a lot of hate.
WWE tells you they don't want people who are good at professional wrestling. They don't want to teach them the style. So guess what? Josh Alexander, he's not gonna go. He would be a great fit in WWE, no question. But are they really gonna get him right?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll hear a lot of that. Moving on to our next story, WWE footage was aired on this week's Impact Wrestling broadcast show on Access TV. For the first time ever, WWE television had aired on tonight's episode, yesterday's episode of Impact Wrestling on Access TV. Now, Tom Hannafin, formerly WWE announcer Tom Phillips, had recapped Mickie James' entry into the Royal Rumble that happened back in January, including the spot where she eliminated Michelle McCool before she was eliminated by Lita. The footage was used with the permission of WWE, and this was part of their deal that they had worked out between both promotions that allowed Mickie James to enter the Rumble with her Impact Knockouts Championship. And James said it was a deal worked out a few weeks before the Rumble happened. Now, Mickie James, she also expressed that she wanted to do more with WWE, and while she continued to work for Impact, but for now it looks like that was a one and done situation, and that there's no signs that WWE and Impact will continue working with their relationship beyond this point. But there's still a chance that they can. And also, I actually watched this footage, like the recap of it. Even though they didn't say that it's the Impact Knockouts World Champion, Tom Phillips did a good job recapping what happened. But they also played some of the footage that happened before she even came into the Rumble. So we got to see Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, we got to see all them wrestle for a good 15 seconds before she even came out. And then they kind of like overplayed it, so you hear the cowboy shit music so clearly, then you actually heard it live. You can tell they kind of play her music more, and you kind of heard her coming to the ring, so you heard Saint like talking on her way to the ring. So it's like they use a whole different camera view. The camera view that we seen on TV, we seen her coming out to the ring, and then it cut back into the ring. This camera view was her whole entrance. So we actually got the camera view of her talking with Tom Phillips commentating over it. I actually like this view of it more. And the way it was, I won't say WWE is still messed up and it's fucked up what they did, but this made up for it. Because they got the footage. If you didn't see the Rumble, it made you be like, hey, oh shit, they working together? Hey, this is good. Tom Phillips did it, Tom Hannafan did what he needed to do. And it basically made up for the fuck up that WWE did. I would say. If you ain't seen it, you should look into it, KB.
Salamander, the fucking WWE Shield. Of course you're gonna shield for the company. Listen, I'm gonna go back and watch it. But at the end of the day, they misnamed the Impact Knockouts Championship by calling it the Impact Women's Championship. It's not that. She's not the Impact Knockout. She's not the Impact Women's Champion. She is the Impact Knockouts Champion. It's the Knockouts division. WWE purposefully put Women's Champion. That's no respect shown to the lineage and the prestige of that belt, because that belt has done wonders for people. It's done wonders. I mean, Deanna Purrazzo got booted, came over there, boom, champion. Look who's holding it now, Mickie James, and the lineage of people before. Awesome Kong, Gail Kim. I mean, come on now, bro. The Impact Knockouts Championship is prestigious. The names that have held it make it prestigious.
You're right.
So for WWE to just say Impact Women's Champion, no, that's not right. And y'all did it purposefully to spite Impact. But y'all wanted Mickie James. But you wanted Mickie James, and you couldn't even get the name of her championship right. I'm gonna leave it there.
Moving on to the last story of the evening. Booker T, he said he told AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Bobby Roode that they was wasting their time in TNA. He was saying, quote, when I first got to TNA, Roode, Joe, and AJ, they would tell you, I said, hey man, you guys need to get the hell out of here quick. I'm serious. I said, you wasting your time. I told Roode, man, cut that damn mullet off and get out of here as soon as your contract is up. I'm serious. That's my advice I have for you guys, because when I got here, I was going to make a difference. The tragedy of these guys, and because I wanted to make them stars, I wanted to make them do stuff, make them bigger. I wasn't worried about myself at all, but when that didn't happen, I was like, man, you guys, I knew I wasn't gonna be here, and I was gonna get up out of here as soon as my contract was up. So I was telling these guys, man, you got to think about your careers. So, as Booker T is the one that we should thank for these three guys going to WWE, even if one didn't work out.
I would think so. I think so, but it's Booker T. You tell me you're not gonna listen to Booker T, and Booker T tell you, yeah, man, you might want to go over to WWE. They really gonna get you together character-wise, get you together body-wise. They're really gonna like what you're gonna have happen over there. I mean, and for the most part, AJ Styles just moved to the main roster, but they went through NXT. They had a good time there. NXT champions,
Yeah. True.
So if Booker T tells me, you got to get out when your contract is up, look into this company, I'll go ahead and put that word in for you. It's Booker T. I'm going to listen.
Right. All right. Well, that's it, guys. That's it for today's news. Go ahead and leave a like on the video. Comment below what you think about today's news. And also be on the lookout wherever you get your podcast from for the exclusive GOAT conversations between KB the Mark and I. Once again, I'm Kimberly Leo Solomon here with KB the Mark. And simply, we some fucking marks.
I started with nothing and came out a king. I've been the one that's been ballin' for rings. It's been me and my team and we chasing the green. My team be the shit, we ain't ballin' for free. My team be the shit, we ain't ballin' for free.